Our rules are simple, but the challenge is great. No shoulder pets, tames that can be carried, or typical boss dinos allowed. That means no Rexes, Therazinos, or any other dinos people normally use in these fights. Equipped with official server cap saddles, our 19 contenders will be backed by the commanding presence of a loyal Uteranus providing that extra boost. All competitors will go into battle with food to provide a healing effect. Herbivores will have plenty of sweet veggie cakes, and carnivores and omnivores will have cooked meat. No Overseer, because the movement speed required to get through the tech cave then chase the Overseer during the fight would shorten our list by a lot. It's important to note that tames in this series aren't typically used during boss battles because of the amount of mutations it would take to make them competitive. I'll be applying around 23,000 health and 1200% melee through mutations and experience levels to all dinos that compete. This will give them all a fair shot at defeating at least one of the Guardians. It won't always be feasible to reach these stats depending on the dinos I'm using, but I will let you know the amount of mutations and levels it took in order to reach it. All competitors start out with 50 base health and melee and 40 points in everything else before I apply mutations and experience levels. Use this information and decide on your own servers if the juice is worth the squeeze. Competitors are required to fight the Megapithecus, Broodmother, then Dragon on all difficulties, starting with Gamma, then Beta, finishing with Alpha. Their success will be annotated on this scorecard with a pass or fail system. Now let's introduce our competitor and see if they have what it takes. Daeodon. These feral hogs roam the desolate locations on the map. They travel in small groups and can be pretty troublesome due to their healing effect and extremely aggressive nature. The Daeodon has great stats, and it only took 20 mutations and 54 experience levels to reach the mark. I applied 0 mutations and 18 experience levels into health, and 20 mutations and 36 experience levels into melee. Now it's time to see if the underhogs have what it takes to clear all the bosses. If you're sensitive to flashing lights, you might not want to watch this video. You've been warned. Up first, we have the Gamma Megapithecus. I was excited to see how dominating the Daeodons are. Any creatures that only take around 20 mutations to get these stats get me pretty excited that we might have another competitor that can clear the board. But this whole video is riddled with disappointment. And it sucks because it's not the fault of the creature, it's just another lame arc bug. There's actually a few bugs. The first bug we have is the little piggies will not respond to whistle commands. They only do it like 25% of the time. It was extremely frustrating maneuvering them. But no matter how difficult it was for me to move them around, they still wound up dominating the Gamma Megapithecus, and we didn't lose any health. As a matter of fact, we barely lost any health in a lot of these fights. The Gamma Broodmother here barely put a dent in us. It turns out having 19 Daeodons healing you turns you into a hell of a tank. Here's bug number 2. I tried positioning these guys every which way in every fight, and you'll see some of those frustrations that I have later on against the dragon, but they just don't want to attack. I know we've experienced that with multiple creatures in this series, but it seemed to be really prevalent in the Daeodon. They even attack a lot slower than they potentially can. If you ride one of them and spam the primary attack, these guys actually dish out a hell of a beating. But when the AI takes over, they're kind of horrible. Maybe I'm kind of spoiled from some of the awesome creatures we've used in this series, but no matter how impatient I got with their low DPS, the underhogs just kept producing results. The Gamma Dragon always poses a threat due to his fire breath, but we had the toe-biting strategy to work with, and these porkers look like they love to gobble on some toes. Except they don't ever want to. It took a lot of maneuvering to find the sweet spot for them to attack. If you haven't been looking at the time remaining on these fights, you should probably take a look at them occasionally. Some of these fights take a really long time. The healing that the Daeodons provide is kind of masking their terrible performance. There is one more bug I'd like to point out. Take a look at all the healing effects and guess how many pigs I have set to passive healing and how many you think is ideal for these fights. We're going to come back to that, but first, the hogs get another pass. I fired up the blue portal and the hogs of war were ready for battle. We stormed into the icy home of the Beta Megapithecus ready to slap his monkey ass. I didn't play too much Chase the UD during these fights if you've noticed. That healing makes it so I don't really have to. As long as I was able to find a good position where the Daeodons were able to dish out at least a little bit of damage, I stayed put if possible. In case you were wondering, each pig would eat about 300 to 500 cooked prime meat or 200 to 300 kibble every single fight, depending on what I used. What can I say? These are growing boys, and growing boys need their nom-noms, so they can continue to pound these bosses into oblivion and earn some passes. With Beta Broodmother up next, I knew we could potentially start seeing some cracks show. Remember that bug I told you we'd come back to? In case you skipped it, it's about the healing aura. It doesn't matter if you put them on passive healing or not. They're going to fire that heal up whether you like it or not, and they're going to continue that until they have no more food. It's supposed to only turn on in passive and only when there's a creature around that needs healing. Any fights that I've won, I've had to manually toggle the passive healing on and off, and in some cases even cryopod the pigs just to get them to stop. Once their food is depleted, it's kinda spotty when they turn it back on after eating food in their inventory. And for the first time, Commander Utes had some visible damage, but the beta Broodmother had more and took a dirt nap. The beta dragon was up next, and keep an eye on that timer on the top of the screen. This dude took off 8 times during this fight. If the Daeodons didn't have the healing aura, then we would have been wiped easily within the first 5 minutes. We were approaching 18 minutes remaining in the fight, and the dragon had lost about a third of his health at this point. He was showing no signs of slowing down. And the pigs were showing no signs of wanting to kill him. It's almost like they're just these lazy old dudes, and they kinda know that they're doing just fine in life, but they just want to relax. With 13 minutes remaining, the beta dragon still had a grip of health left. All the pig food was gone, and all my armor was destroyed. We were not in a good place. And then, piggies started dying, and I was struggling hard to get them to attack the dragon. But then, out of nowhere, they started fighting. And fighting they did. I was about to throw in the towel, and they must have read my mind and said, hell no, we got a dragon to kill. And they sure did, earning their 6th pass. With the red portal up, the pigs' bellies full of kibble, we charged into battle. The Alpha Megapithecus awaited us, and it was time to find out if the pigs could handle the final stage. This fight was pretty straightforward, a typical battle for positioning. The Alpha Megapithecus isn't that difficult, but it's important not to get complacent. In fights like this where the boss has 100% aggro on the Uteranus, you have to monitor your health closely. I was a bit overconfident in this fight from the sweet healing effect that the pig police brought to the table, and Commander Ute's health was pretty low towards the end of it. This could have went badly, but fortunately, the pigs deliver another stellar victory and earn their 7th pass. Heading over to my girlfriend's lair, I was able to actually pull something off pretty cool here. Before I explain, I just want to let everyone know that if I ever lose a fight in this, I always try it at least one more time, especially if the fault is human error. Now, during this fight, I did notice that if I could get the Broodmother to basically stand on top of the pigs, they would actually attack her way more than they would when they surround her. It might seem like they're doing pretty awesome here, but check that time up top. At this stage, they were all out of food, and it wouldn't be much longer before she started stacking bodies. Naturally, Commander Utes was the first to go, and I had to hop on a dirty hog and get up under this sexy spider to get a good look at her. She started taking out pigs left and right, but part of me had a little bit of hope. Her health pool was actually pretty low, which is impressive considering how long we were taking a pounding from her. She was relentless, and was hungry. Hungry for man meat. Meat that I would freely offer up if she would just stop being so damn clingy. But apparently she was sick of my shit, because she spit green shit all over me and then let her kids eat me, handing us our first fail. Oh, Alpha Dragon, you glorious monster. I knew that if I could just get the damn underhogs to attack just a little bit, we could pull this off. 5 minutes into this fight and they barely scratched him. Please, do not misunderstand me. I think the Daeodon would be an absolute beast if they worked like they're supposed to. Could you imagine if they didn't have any of the issues that I've identified? They would probably be better than Rexes because of that heal. But some would argue that it's not worth it because they have live births, and truthfully it's much easier to manage breeding if you use an egg-laying creature. But what if they laid underhog eggs? Do you think they would taste like eggs or like bacon? It's food for thought. Sleep on that. Finally, with 10 minutes remaining in the fight, we were making some meaningful progress. But of course, food was depleted and we were getting torched. We lost a ton of pigs towards the end. It was like a domino effect. I couldn't tell if we were starving to death or burning to death. And it was probably a combination of both. But it just wasn't meant to be. The underhogs get their second fail. We have a long list of things to come, with Casteroids, the Stego, and Arthroplura coming soon. I hope you've enjoyed this series so far, and if you have, please like and subscribe to help this community grow. Please feel free to comment below if there's any dinos you'd like to see, or if you have any feedback. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.